Hey, good morning, America. I'm Rob the Accountant. I like to help people build companies while finding solutions to problems that may come your way. Have a question? Stop by robtheaccountant.com, scroll halfway down, hit me up on the email, and send your question away. Okay, so where are we now? Well, the election's come and gone. I'm not the president. Would have been a better president than both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. I don't know why we're in this world where, as Americans, we get in this position of, how we can shit on each other more, or who can be more mean to the next person, or who can hurt more people, and who can deport more people and separate more families. And this has been going on in America since God knows 2000. George W. Bush, which, by the way, his brother Jeb is married to a Mexican, right? So, and one of the things that always killed me with the immigration thing, now that Trump has basically said that if you throw up $5 million, he'll give you a visa, is that it's really not about immigration at all. It's about the immigration they want. And on one hand, they want all of these brown people to farm the land and pick the oranges and apples, but then on the other side of the case, they want them to, not have any rights subject to that employment contract. It just, but meanwhile, our president is, married to 3 Russians. 3, not 1, not 2, not 3, and and again, somebody's, whether they're married 2 or 3 times or 10 times, it doesn't really matter. My point is that, we don't have native Russian women in America. So obviously the women that Trump married they were all immigrants, right? So I'm over it. So I think what I want to do is, going forward, we're going to have this new iteration called Rob Speaks. And what I'm going to do over the next few months, maybe a year or two, before I decide what my next political future is, if I have a political future, is show people, the separation. Because what we do really have here is we have 2 systems. And, sadly, a lot of folks think that the 2 systems are black and white. So if we want to throw that into there, then what we really have is 3 systems. We have rich, we have everybody else, and then we have if you're black, right? So 3 systems, 3 different systems for 3 different groups of people. If you have money, you have the means to buy lawyers and do what that lady in Massachusetts is doing, who backed into a police officer, ran him over, left him all night. She has the money and the firepower of money to get her case that she hasn't even been completely adjudicated on that. I think there was a hung jury or whatever, who gives a crap, but she's accelerated her case. She got the Supreme Court to at least, I guess if you submit it, they make a decision one way or another if they're going to hear it or not, but I'm just saying she got her lawyers to get all the way up there. And you folks don't think, you think that's every white person? No, it's not. It's somebody who's got some money, a lot of money, because most defendants in America, including those 250 people sent to El Salvador, well, they had no lawyers at all. So I'm just kind of like, we got a bad candidate in Kamala Harris because she was never elected by anyone. Joe Biden should have ceded long before. He said he was going to be a one-term president. And then we got Trump, when put up against, a fake candidate, just looks great. And then the whole crap assassination thing. But fundamentally, if you look at what we've been doing for the last 20 years, we're arguing about, again, stupid social problems. When's the last time we built a Hoover Dam? When's the last time we built the Golden Gate Bridge? You can look at China and you can have your views on their government. I clearly have a lot of views on their government. But as a mindset between them and the Japanese and a lot of other cultures, they try to move their society forward. They try to make things better for everybody. Now, maybe we don't agree with the ideology and how it gets there. And, if you're born into a caste system in India, which I know it's not really there still, but it is there, but it isn't. Your path is set. But in America, your path isn't set. But your path is greatly inhibited for the good if you have tons of money, or it's greatly inhibited for the bad if you have no money. And we're talking about if your parents have no money, and then your uncles have no money, your whole family has no money. This is why, most of our political leaders don't send their children into the military, because they got money. So, if you got money, you don't generally send your kids in the military unless you're sending them over to officer school. It's not to say anything bad about the military. It just says rich people, including Donald Trump, not once but twice, avoided service for bone spurs. What are bone spurs? Anyways, he seems to be completely fit to run around and campaign on 2 different separate elections. So you just wonder sometimes. But what I would like to do is what I'm going to do is point out the systems in place. Because if you look at the systems in place and you start to learn how to understand the systems that are there, why companies that you work for are doing what they're doing, why other companies aren't doing what you expect them to do, then you can start trying in this world of yours, which is very small in time. I mean, we're all here for very, very, very little period of time. And, the first 20 years we're children. And in the last 20 years, we're geriatric senior citizens, right? So what is that, 20 to 80, 60 years? We got 60 years. And by the time we're done arguing with each other about a woman's right to abortion, or whether marijuana should be legal, or whether cigarettes are good for you, or whether alcohol is essential or not, your life has passed you by. There's nothing there for you. So over the next couple weeks, I'm going to do Rob Speaks. I'm still Rob the Accountant, but I'm going to do Rob Speaks now. I want to tell you what goes through my brain. And you know what? Take it. Use it. Don't use it. Leave it. Talk crap about it. Tell me I'm awful. Tell me I'm the worst person. I don't really give a shit. I am so tired of fighting with everybody. I don't need to fight with anybody anymore. I know what I know. I move my life in a way that generally provides me with a certain level of happiness. And again, I'm not really sure I like that word happiness, because happiness for most people is undefined. So let's say a certain level of being content, right? Being content, a certain level of being content where I'm not waking up every day and I'm angry at the world. Sure, things get tight. Sure, things are up and down. Sure, bills don't get paid. I am no different than anybody else. But we all need to start looking at the bigger picture. We need to stop putting our vote into people who merely try to separate us on social issues and on issues that really pit one American against another American. It's about being envious. It's about having more. It's about having less. It's about not having enough. We need to stop firing on all Americans. Everybody has their story. Everybody has their trials and tribulations. Everybody has their ups and downs. Okay, that doesn't make them bad people for that. People make bad decisions. They make bad choices in life, right? But for a group of people, again, that group of people with no money and black and minority people, you get no chances. You get no chances to make a mistake and have it not affect your life. What you get is, repercussions and condensation and condensation, whatever. All these things that you got to do to show that you're not a bad person. If you get a DWI in the United States now, and now you gotta pay to have an interlock device on your car. But we clearly know that we have pilots in America drinking and flying. We clearly know we have politicians that just drink all day long and stay in their office, right? But, God forbid the layman does shit. The little guy does shit. You know what? Off to the fucking gallows with you. Chop off his fucking head. And it's just one more example of, just like marijuana in this country, how something can be so illegal for so long, where the government doesn't even want to talk about it, doesn't even want to see its medicinal purposes relative to healthcare, cancer treatment. But man, as soon as we want to make some money off marijuana, we come up with a million excuses why suddenly we should legalize marijuana because black people had such a terrible life being persecuted for smoking weed that clearly white people smoke just as much, including Bill Clinton. And so now we don't want marijuana laws, but then we don't actually give anybody who was affected by the downside of persecution of marijuana laws, we don't give any of them a license. The states and the government as a whole comes up with reasons still to deny them after they've been, screwed already. So it's just one more thing about where do you want to be? What's your next generation look like? What do you tell your kids? And do you keep playing in this type of system? Why keep playing in this system if it doesn't serve you? The funny thing that I say every day as a tax professional, tax accountant, or just a regular accountant is everybody voted for Trump. But nobody knows why they voted for Trump. They think they know why they voted for Trump, but Trump has 500 companies that come down on his tax return, over 500 companies. And the facts are he's never going to pay any taxes. This is the truth. It's the way the system was set up and how he was able to use it, which is the same system Hillary Clinton uses and Barack Obama uses and Michelle Obama uses, which, by the way, on the Michelle Obama thing, why is she crying so much? I don't understand this. There was an inauguration. Even Hillary Clinton showed up. And you know who didn't? The one black lady for the first black guy chose not to show up. She let Obama go in there alone and they go, I gotta make my own story. Your story, Michelle Obama, your story is Barack Obama. That is your story. If Barack Obama did not get elected, nobody would know you, Michelle. You wouldn't have all those people, so you would know not to have a dress, so you could choose not to go to Donald Trump's inauguration. I would have been more of a person if you just said, hey, my father came from the slave line, I'm going to go and support that guy. But you didn't say that. You just left your homie hanging. He had to show up with Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump, who had all his wives there, right? And the one person who doesn't have their wife there, despite the politics, good, bad, or indifferent, whether you agree with him or not, but the one person who doesn't have his wife with him there is the first black president. I'm Rob the Accountant. I hope you enjoy this Rob Speaks going forward. This is our introduction. This is my introduction of this. And we'll be pointing out relevant articles on LinkedIn and other still what we call journalist sources that bring forth what companies are doing to minimize their taxes to the government while shorting you on the money that you need to make. For all the crap that Trump talks about, he wants to bring America manufacturing back. Well, American manufacturing is great here. There's just less people doing it. There's more robots, okay? But that just solves one problem. What if you do bring another 100 manufacturing jobs back? The problem in America is every single American thinks they should make $50 an hour. And we need to start talking about, when do we stop talking about the minimum wage growing? I understand from a federal perspective, it's probably never going to change, but a lot of states have dealt with this. Why do we keep going up and up and up? Your eggs at $5, your beef at $10 and $20 a pound. Sooner or later, if there's just too much money in the economy, then we have inflation. And we live in a society where there are fewer and fewer and fewer resources. And that in itself is already going to cause prices to go up. And then when you give everybody a stimulus check and now everybody's complaining, looking for, I guess Elon Musk is, all these weird sites telling everyone they're going to get a Doge check, which we'll talk about that next time. I think that'll be one of the first things about Rob Says, or Rob Speaks, that we'll move forward with, is the idea that Doge is somehow new, or that Doge wasn't the digital online services that Obama created, and Donald Trump just can't get Obama out of his head, and it seems like neither can Elon Musk. That's what we call living in people's head rent-free. When you go out of your way to literally try to wipe out a legacy of somebody, all you show is how much that person bothers you. Because if it were me and I was bothered by somebody's legacy, what I would try to do is I would try to create a better legacy. A better environment for people, an opportunity for people to have more food, more time off, more time with family, more money in their pocket, and more vacation. I'll go on forever. I'm Rob. You folks have a good day.